Good afternoon and welcome to the Iron County Fair. This is Talking Ag in the Ag Barn, and this afternoon we get the pleasure of interviewing the infamous Dave Staheli. How are you doing this afternoon, Dave?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's always good to be here.
Well, and I'm so grateful that you chose to accept being interviewed today, because really our goal today is just to make sure that ag education is out there, and really the people behind the passion. You've been the owner and operator with a team of operators, and employees now of Staheli West, but really today I want to highlight you as beginning your journey, and why you're so passionate about agriculture and it thriving through Iron County.
All right. So is that the question?
Well, I mean, the question in a roundabout way.
Question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just really where you started.
So I'll tell you my earliest recollections of really the love of ag just really sinking into me was when I was about 4 years old, and my dad had a little ranch up the canyon from Enterprise, just close to town there, and he had a John Deere 4020 tractor, and I remember the first time I remember riding with him was out there doing some disking in a field there near the barns, and there were horses in the field, and I remember riding on there with him, and he had to stop a couple times and wrangle those horses out of the way or something. But I will never forget the feeling, the smell of that tractor, the diesel exhaust and everything about it. I fell in love from that day on with just being in that environment. And even later when I was a little kid at home, we didn't have a farm really after that. He sold that a little later. And so when I got a little bit older, if I was playing in the yard, we were down off the back street, and the southwest wind would always come off the back street, and quite often there would be an old John Deere tractor drive down the back street, and about 20 seconds later I'd get that diesel exhaust, and anytime I ever smell that, I go right back to there every single time. It's been fun. And then just growing up in Enterprise, had an opportunity from a young age of being able to work on the different farms around there for different guys that own farms, and my greatest dream was to be able to finally be big enough to get on a tractor myself and do the driving and the field work and that, which happened plenty as I got older and went through that. And that's kind of where it started. I loved it. I had to have a toy tractor, but I didn't get it for Christmas. I had to buy it myself. So I had to work to get it, and that was always good.
Well, and it really instills in a very early age, it sounds like, the principles of being able to work with your hands and to work in the earth and be one, not necessarily one with the earth, but cultivating and building those different things with the earth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up John Deere specifically. My 3-year-old is obsessed with our John Deere tractors. Now, I don't say we have a 4420. We don't even have a 1000 tractor.
Yeah.
We have, the 1935 and 38 A and B models.
Right.
But it's so fun for me to be able to witness. I mean, he's 3 and he is always talking about his Johnny Poppers.
Yes.
And wanting to be on them, and he's already got the parade wave down, and so does my daughter, in fact.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's really important and critical, especially now, to get kids integrated into agriculture, and to get their hands dirty, more or less, because at such a young age, you were fascinated, and already in love with this lifestyle, so to speak.
Definitely.
So when you got a little bit older, through high school and maybe into your early adult years, did you have your own farm? Were you still helping other farmers farm? Where did your passion take you from there?
So through high school, I worked for several different farmers in the valley over there. Brad Barlow was one of them, and it was mostly moving hand lines or pulling weeds in potato fields, that kind of thing. And sometimes we'd get to drive his old Massey Ferguson tractor with a pipe trailer on the back, and even that was okay. That was awesome. Still had a diesel engine in it, you know. So did that in my younger teenage years. By the time I was like 13, I went to work for Bob Holt over there and worked for him for quite a while. And, you know, the thing I loved there with working with him is he had high expectations of us as employees. It was, first of all, you know, going to work at 6:30 in the morning, getting home about 8:30 every night, moving sprinklers twice a day on potatoes. That was really critical on the timing. And then when, you know, in the middle of the day when we weren't doing that, it was doing a lot of things. But by the time I was into that first summer, I was disking and doing all those kind of things that young kids could do, and just grew from there. And became really pretty good at what we did there. And like I said, the expectations were really high there. You were expected to grow up and be able to operate machinery and be part of the operation. There was no dead weight in that operation. You had to be a contributor or you weren't going to stay there. And so that was a good lesson of life for me to learn, and I do attribute a lot of where I got to that, as well as my upbringing of hard work and all those kind of things. We had a little 5-acre piece of ground, you know, around our house there, but it was mostly driving the old pickup when I couldn't even reach the pedals to haul hay. So, you know, those kind of things were always there. And then as time went on, after I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, then I came back, went to work for Bob Holt again for a little while. I did have a little job there at Bracken's Auto Parts Store and Enterprise for about a year, but my heart still just yearned to go back to the farm always. It's always happened to me. And so anyway, after I got off my mission, I went to work for him for a little while, but I did know I needed to come and try to get a little education, and so I went to SUU at the time, well, Southern Utah State College at the time, and worked in one of the beverage companies, driving truck, delivering pop, and they wanted me to go into management there, but I'll tell you, my heart just could not stay away from the farm. And so I went back to work for Holt Farms in Enterprise for a few years, and then after a short time there again, I had an offer to manage a farm for Brent Hunter in the Cedar Valley there. And I went over there, he showed me around, and it was absolutely the Garden of Eden. I just was so in love with that place the first time he took me there. So took the job, and my family and I lived there we still live there in a different house now, but we managed that for about 30 years. And then after that, these other things that I do now kind of came around, and I loved it, raised all my kids there. It was a perfect environment for raising a family. We all had things to do, and the work was needed. It wasn't make-work projects ever, and I'm so grateful for that because parenthood was made so much easier by being on the farm. It's so much easier. It was great.
I feel like there's a key aspect to that current society is missing out on, because we're no longer, the vast majority of us are no longer in the dirt, using our hands, you know, growing our own food, let alone food for millions of other people as producers do. But we miss out on those parenting opportunities or those growth aspects that our kids will have otherwise never experienced because of that. So when you developed Staheli West, where did you initially get the idea of agriculture needed more, or you needed to almost do more for agriculture in that light? Was it a light bulb moment, or was it
It was kind of a series of events and experience, I guess. You know, I was spending my life making these square bales of hay.
Yes.
You know, that was what our livelihood was doing, was dropping more and more of those on the ground. And in fact, everything that I did as far as the financial considerations of whether we were buying equipment or whatever, and I helped make all those kind of decisions and kind of present those to Brent, and he usually went along with what I felt like we needed. But every time I did, I wasn't counting green out of the wallet. I was counting how many bales of hay does this cost?
Right.
You know, and that's the way I thought. And so I had to always think that way, and I think it really was helpful to do that. But the challenges of managing the harvest operation were definitely bearing down on me as the manager of the farming side while he did the livestock side. And as that responsibility fell on me, he wasn't telling me when to go bale hay, when not to, when there was enough dew, when there wasn't enough dew, all of those kind of things. So it fell on my shoulders, and I naturally am a person who would like to find solutions rather than just bellyache about a problem. And I did plenty of bellyaching, I'm sure, but
Well, we all do in our own right.
yeah. But if I needed something like honestly, when I was a little kid, if I needed to have a flatbed truck to haul my toy tractor on, I tore the cement mixer off from it and I'd make it, you know.
Right.
So I'm kind of like that too. And I was that way still on the farm. I had done quite a few little things that improved equipment and stuff there anyway. But as I got thinking about that problem of the right moisture for baling hay, I just thought there's got to be a way of doing this. I knew that some of the guys that I knew in the Enterprise Valley were spraying hay with spray rigs to try to make some sort of a dew condition.
Oh, interesting.
And that has been done by quite a few people over the years. And so I thought about doing that on Brent's farm when I was managing, but I knew it didn't work all that great. So I tried a few things that didn't work, and I really believe God knows way more than I do. And so I talked to him about things, and I just was praying one night. This was in June of 1994, and I just was like, if there's a way, there's got to be a way to do this. Could you help me figure something out? And I got an immediate answer. It was one of the most direct answers I've ever received to prayer, and it was, okay, Dave. I didn't hear a voice, by the way, but it came clear in my head.
All right,
it came clear. It was, Dave, you've seen the girls at Taco Time put cold tortillas in a little steamer oven and push a button and it puts a puff of steam out and makes it soft immediately. And it's not wet, but it's warm and soft. And so it was just like, here, that's your answer. So,
wow.
And that was as far as it went. So the next day I went out in the field and got a big cardboard box, filled it with hay, and took it in the kitchen. My wife was like, what are you doing in my kitchen?
With hay.
With hay.
With hay. Hay is really messy.
Yeah.
Really messy.
Anyway, I got her pressure cooker out, the big old pressure cookers that you can with.
Yeah.
And I got a little piece of rubber hose and put on top. Got some water boiling in that under pressure, and the steam was coming off so I could put it in the box. And I put it around in 5 or 6 places and reached my hand in, and I was honestly just blown away. It worked. It was beautiful. It made the hay soft, but not wet. It was warm, but not too hot. But it was like the perfect dew. And so that was where it all started from. And then it was a matter of me trying to figure out how do I do that on a large scale so that it can be done on a baler and work in production. So that's a whole nother long story that we wouldn't have time to cover here, I'm sure.
Well, but it fine-tunes the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, and really speaking to a higher power, you know, God, you know, prayer and getting those types of answers, I feel like the more people are open to receiving that type of information, the more that they would likely be guided to what their purpose is in life.
Yeah.
Or a purpose, not the purpose. We have multiple purposes.
Right.
But it goes to show that as you are open to helping others, you weren't doing this necessarily selfishly. You were, how do I make this better for all?
Right.
Or better to make other things more sustainable or better in some degree. It wasn't, how do I find Midas's hand?
Yeah.
It was, how do I bring Midas's hands to everybody?
Right. Well, and at first, I'll admit, I was a little selfish because I was just tired of the fight all the time. And I was like, if we could just do this on this farm, we could do it. But the day that I saw the hay in the kitchen, it was an immediate shift in my thinking. I thought, this is so good that if I can apply it on a large scale, it has to go to the world.
So
it has to.
Do all of Staheli West employees know that the idea started with a cardboard box and a pressure cooker?
Yes.
Does everybody have a pressure cooker in their house?
No, but we still have the original pressure cooker in our office, and we show it to groups all the time. We get tons of groups that come in, and we do presentations and give them tours and stuff, so we're always doing that.
Well, and it's interesting because it really does, you know, if you ask a question, and if you are presented with some type of idea or some type of direction,
right,
using the things that are simple often come to the best and highest degree.
Right.
It's really incredible too, because your story entails a lot of different aspects maybe most haven't seen or, been able to talk about before. But one, you were completely vulnerable to whatever this idea looked like.
Right.
A higher power or your mind or however you believe, right? Whatever our listeners believe in.
Right.
You were guided to a memory
Right.
of watching a tortilla being steamed.
Right.
And in your mind, you were like, well, of course that's applicable to hay.
Yeah.
In my mind, I would have been like, well, that's how you make tortillas.
Yeah.
But you saw a different aspect of that.
Right.
And that's where you've captured so many Americans in the production field specifically, but you've benefited their production and their operations to where the world is now impacted by Dave Staheli's pressure cooker cardboard box. Hey.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not simplifying that, Dave. I respect you on one of the highest levels.
Oh, that's nice.
But really, you took an idea and you made sure that everybody knew about it.
Right.
You were guided to that idea and you made sure that everybody knew about it, because as you go through that process, right, you believed enough in a higher power and enough in yourself to be guided.
Right.
To impact millions of people. I doubt you could actually count how many people, because we have no idea, because each hay bale feeds 2 cows a day.
Right.
Which produces something umpteenth milk.
Right.
Or beefsteaks and or.
Yeah.
And it could just roll
Yeah.
forward and forward. So with Staheli West as a company, where do you see it taking off in the next 5 to 10 years? And do you see it ever leaving Iron County? Are you going to keep it in Iron County?
Yeah. So I'll answer that. First of all, I'll take the last question first. It'll stay in Iron County.
Oh, good. I love seeing you around town.
No, we love where we are. It's been awesome to work with in Cedar City and Iron County both. The services are really great, and we love being here anyway. It's a good place. It's been a good place for our family. The other thing is all my kids, most all of them are involved directly in the business. They're the ones that do most of the footwork on management along with others. I don't do so much of that anymore. I kind of have my own little roles that I like to play, and they do the day-to-day. And their families are growing up here too. So we're well-founded here. Our roots are here. As far as what it looks like over the next 5 years, we currently are in 8 countries. We just signed up our first dealership in Egypt a month or so ago.
In Egypt?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Australia, we're in New Zealand, Australia. Tasmania is actually part of Australia, but we have machines there. Argentina, Mexico, Canada, and Egypt will be next spring when they are ready to receive equipment then. And there are other countries that we are looking at or that are looking at us. We've kind of taken them as they've come to us more than just pushing into countries. So we've done tours in South Africa, North Africa, in other places, not just Egypt, but in Algeria is another area that we'll probably be getting into soon too. And then in Europe, it's a little tougher environment to do business in Europe because of their regulations are much higher than the U.S., but we're working on some of those things too. So it's exciting because everybody has the same issues in forage ag, even with differing climates. We work in a variety of climates from too wet to too dry, and it has value in both sides when you understand it. So we'll continue to grow, and we continue to develop new technology, and that's one of the things I really love about the people that work for us is we're on a continuum of continuous improvement. And so the machinery we build today is far easier to use. It's simpler, really, especially from the operational standpoint. Has a lot of complex electronics in it, programming, all the things that we do to make it work. It's much more automated than it was in the beginning, and we have a track of automation yet ahead of us that we'll be following that is really, really fun. It's fun to continue to use technologies that are out there for new purposes. And some of the stuff that we've done is, like in our boiler technology, that where we make the steam, we do things there that have never, ever been done in the world before by anyone else. On a mobile platform like that, using these rough service type electronics like you would see in a tractor or a excavator or something, we've applied all that back into our newest machinery. And it's been a lot of work and quite expensive to develop, but it is so sweet and so much easier to use. We're so excited about some of this new stuff we're just putting out on the market right now. And then we'll continue to develop some other technologies that we have back in our heads too, that we kind of next plate things that we'll be doing. So we, I guess in a nutshell, we love Monday mornings. They're the funnest day. I love Sundays when I can rest. I love Friday nights when we're kind of done with the week's work, but Monday mornings are my favorite, honestly. I don't know if everybody at work would say the same, but I certainly really, really enjoy that.
There's something to say about Mondays because I feel like it's the most innovative day of the week.
Yeah.
Your mind is fresh and clear of the past week's to-do list. You have new to-do lists. You kind of have that innovative style and things.
Right.
And the other thing that I love, Dave, is that you are seeing in Iron County, because that further promotes and solidifies ag in Iron County to some degree. Right. Because it takes other production involved in ag to keep ag alive in Iron County. Yeah. And that's one of our core values, at least for me, raising my children in Iron County. Yeah. I want to make sure that we're still dirt roads and back roads kind of people. Right. So.
Right. Well, and the services we use locally, we are using more and more services locally. I know that I don't know how many jobs we impact in Iron County, but there's
quite
a couple
reach.
Of hundred, I would say, at least in Iron County that are affected by us. We directly have about 60 employees altogether in the several companies that we operate that support what we do.
Right.
But then there's a lot of others that do things for us, and in the state of Utah there's even more, and then from there out.
Right.
But there's a lot of trickle down effect, out in the community and in the state and beyond. So it's good.
Dave, thank you so much for joining us today, talking ag in the Ag Barn at the Iron County Fair. It really is such an honor to be able to interview you and have you show up and just share your story, because it's a story that needs to be shared.
Well, thank you, McKennan. And if anybody wants to see more of this story in a little more detail, is it okay if I tell them?
Absolutely.
Go to StaheliWest.com and you can just Google that. We have a 4-part video series on our history and how this all started and progressed through where we are today. And it's kind of fun to watch. When we were putting those videos together, some of the people in my neighborhood would say, "When's your next one coming out?" Because my kids love these videos.
Oh, how fun.
And they wanted to see what was next, because it took us about a year to put those all together. And so it's really fun. If somebody wants a good inspirational story and a good American story, it's a good one to hear and to internalize, to realize, hey, people can do things.
It goes back to that ingenuity and that figure-it-out attitude that I feel like has grown somewhere in some result of Iron County. Yeah, well, ag is the best. I will tell you, wherever we go in the world, people are so much the same in the ag world. It's like a great big family. It is great. It takes a family to feed the families.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate it.